Welcome to this episode of Oh, By the Way. We are here in the family room at Olivia's House, Hanover, and we have a very special guest with us today.
Absolutely. I'd like to welcome our dear friend, Jan Frank from Aseracare Hospice. We're glad you could break away and come in and tape this show. It's hard to believe it would be hard for anybody to even get 5 minutes, but when you're in hospice work, it's impossible to have 5 minutes sometimes.
It's an around-the-clock job.
It is. So thank you for even taking the time and being able to come over here and do this show with us.
Thanks for asking me to come.
You know?
We're so excited that you're here because Aseracare Hospice is the sponsor of our season 2 of Oh, By the Way. So without this relationship and this partnership, we wouldn't be here and filming and doing all that. So we're so happy that relationship is there.
We're honored to be involved.
Well, it's a really nice fit. You know, what you guys do and what we do, it's always been a wonderful fit. And that takes me to, to my beginnings, because I really began my career with the help of Aseracare Hospice. So we go so far back, into the 90s. And if it weren't for Diane Wojciechowski and Aseracare Hospice, I don't know where I'd be, because they were the ones, when I didn't have any money to get some things started I knew needed to be started in our community, they were right there to fund things for me and to support me, and I loved that relationship. And it just has gone on for all these years.
Good.
Yeah, so it's been wonderful, and I think when it comes to death and dying in this community, the pairing of Leslie Delp and Aseracare Hospice has been, a big bridge to what we know in this community about hospice and about death and dying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which then transcended to Olivia's House.
Right. Right.
And all our work, because hospice care and the grief center go so hand in hand.
What's the hardest part, do you think? Now, I know you're a nurse, but you're not doing nursing now per se.
Right.
You're meeting with families and talking about the benefits of hospice
Exactly.
to families. And, oftentimes we have to talk families into using hospice, because they have this terrible feeling that if my loved one has hospice walk in the door, they'll know they're dying and they'll give up.
It is a very common theme that we hear from everyone, and they're afraid of giving up. And I kind of approach it that you want the comfort. Do you want are you still looking at aggressive treatment, or where are you in your stage of acceptance? Sometimes they can't hear that H word, all right, but my commonality to that, to bring us all in, is we're all going to get to that stage in our life someday. I'm hoping to have enough time to be able to take advantage of hospice, all right? Sometimes we're not so lucky that death comes at us out of the blue and at a surprise. But if you're able to plan and be a part of that, that's where hospice steps in. And I think that's where we shine and do our best work.
I would agree.
For the families and the patients. And it's not just this person that's sick, okay? It is everyone that is involved with that person.
Absolutely. And it's a team approach that comes in the house whenever a hospice team is involved. I mean, everything from the nursing staff, of course, to a physician who's in constant contact, to clergy, to social workers, for the extended family, and especially the children, which is kind of our part.
Right.
Because many of the hospices, but especially Aseracare, call us and say, we have this case with kids, and here's their ages, and could you help us with some ideas on how to address this with them?
Already anticipating. And a lot of those families, they've brought that up when we've brought their family member on. They are looking to the future, worried about exactly how are we going to handle this? How much do we tell? How much don't we tell? How involved should they be? All those complicated things.
From our side of it, we can always tell when a family has had a good hospice experience, because those children are prepared and they've been accustomed to, this is what's going to happen and here's what this is going to look like. And then you have Olivia's House, and those families come in.
They're strong. They're very strong families, and we always hope that we have one good, strong hospice family in every group we run, because they're really a good model for grieving. Not that they didn't love their loved one and they don't miss them and aren't sad, but they have had that, what I call the gift of goodbye. And a hospice team gives a gift of goodbye.
We sure do.
Yeah, and I that is just like that. That's gold at the end of the rainbow to me. And I oftentimes see families that are so reluctant to even use the word death around children.
Right.
And hospice helps them to understand the language and shares what they should do and how they should do it with children. And I love that, hospice, when they're in the home, they encourage the bed to be in the living room so that the person who is at the end of life can still be experiencing life.
Exactly. And be a part of the family
Yeah.
to the best extent that they can be. So
Right.
sometimes the most that it is in the bed in the living room.
Right.
But all the activity is still
Yeah.
coming past them, and they
Yeah.
are being involved. And
Absolutely.
even when they're not able to respond, they can still hear those pieces of that
Yes.
family.
Absolutely. I think that's so wonderful. And so when you're comfortable, there was a study done, and we were part in on this, where it was said that when video cameras come into a room, if you're going to videotape a group, would they always censor what they say because the video camera was there? And we have learned that no, they don't, that pretty soon they forget the video camera's there and they just go on as usual. And that is what it's like with hospice. You almost forget that the person lying in the bed while you're watching TV and getting the dinner on the table is at the end of their life.
Exactly.
But it's so much a part of that healing for the family and for the person who is dying.
Right.
To be able to recognize, I am helping my family to prepare for the end of my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's wonderful.
It's a gift. It is a gift,
Yeah.
and it is a privilege.
Yeah, it is.
To be involved with folks, and even afterwards, as you all are.
Yeah.
And we try to get in, as soon as we
Yes.
can, and spread the message of hospice all the way around, that it doesn't have to be the last couple days
Right.
sort of situation,
Right.
that hospice can be in there for, months, a year even, preparing
be.
and working
Yeah.
and working with the family.
It's unusual, but I had a patient years ago who was in hospice care for almost 2 years.
And
It happens rarely.
It does, and we have to prove to Medicare and to our payer sources that they're showing decline, that there's
Right.
certain things that they, need to meet. But there are those folks that just,
Yeah.
it does take that
It
much
takes one.
time.
Yeah.
And they still need that support,
Yeah.
though, because that is the
Yeah.
disease trajectory that they're
Right.
on at that point.
We used to have, our former board vice president, one of our original founding members, used to volunteer in hospice care, and he said as a volunteer, "I'm here to help them die." And he would come into the room and, "I'm here to help you die." And he made it so relaxed, and he said the clients love that because it is hard work. That's hard work. And I love that hospice can help with that.
What's harder work is pretending that isn't
Yes.
existing.
Isn't that the truth? The elephant in the room.
It is. Once it's out there, the relief that everyone, it's like we can finally breathe. We can say the word. We can have that anticipatory grief, okay? And not be ashamed or beating ourselves up about it, okay? Because you don't want to lose that hope. And I believe that hospice care isn't losing hope.
Right.
Hospice care is coming to a place of acceptance that we are all going to die of something someday. And if we can help that by keeping you comfortable, by giving you the most quality of life, rather than the alternative is possibly looking at aggressive treatment of all kinds that may not be pleasant,
Right.
okay, and take
Right.
away, from your ability to interact with your family and friends at that time.
And it's funny, I read a book by a man who had a brain tumor, and he had 6 months to live. It's what the doctor said. And so he was trying to do some aggressive radiation for the brain tumor. And some of it was for palliative care,
Right.
because he was in a lot of pain, and this was trying to shrink it for pain control. But he basically said, when I was sitting there in the office waiting for my turn to go in and have my radiation, he said, in the book, he said, one day the machine was down, and I was stuck there for 3 hours. And he said, when you only have 6 months to live, and 3 hours is going to be by myself in an office waiting for the machine to be fixed, that was like years.
It sure was.
And so when you think about someone who has a limited term of lifetime left, you want to make the most of those days, but hours even means so much.
Exactly.
And I'll never forget it. The book is called Chasing Daylight, and it is a phenomenal book.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of a simpler way to explain it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, we are so excited about the fact that Aseracare Hospice is a major partner with Olivias House this year.
Absolutely. So, you know, what I admire about Aseracare is they're so progressive.
Yeah.
You know, back when Olivia's House was forming and your practice was starting and no one knew what children's grief and loss was and how we were going to fund it, Aseracare was like, yeah, absolutely.
Partner.
We know what the importance of that will help. And again, here with Oh, by the way, and saying, you know, we want to do a video show, we want to engage our volunteers, and how are we going to do that? And Aseracare, absolutely, that sounds like a great fit. So I'm always proud of the fact that Aseracare is progressive and willing to take risks and go along the journey with us.
Well, and basically, I think that they've helped build the ladder that Olivia's House climbs on. As we branch out in the community, they help us put the rungs on the ladder with whatever financial support they can provide and whatever physical support and emotional support from the staff they can provide. It's wonderful. So.
Well, and we are blessed at Aseracare that we have a foundation that allows us to have those funds to be able to support causes like you. So without that, I mean, we are a for-profit company, and so because of that, we cannot solicit or raise funds, but lots of families do want to express their thanks for the care that they've received, and so we have a nonprofit leg of our company, the Aseracare Hospice Foundation.
That's awesome.
That the other gift to that is they allow us to keep it local.
Right.
So we really are able to look at our communities and their needs, and so we've been blessed to be able to partner with you with those funds and know where they're birthed from, which
you get to see the results of all of that, and maybe the families too are able to see that wow, my gift makes a real difference right here at home.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
that's
hope that
very
when
cool.
they hear that's exactly what they think.
That's very, very cool. I love that.
Well, we're so appreciative of your time and coming down and visiting with us today. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. You have a beautiful little spot in Hanover, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
Yes.
we do. We're very blessed and love this community. So
and as equally in York. That's the beginnings of it all.
Yes.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
Happy to be all through York.
Well, I'm glad to see you growing.
Thank you.
That is been
isn't that the most awesome thing?
Yeah.
I agree.
Very much.
Well, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Oh, by the way, and don't fail to tune into the next one.
I know.
Coming your way.
We've got some great episodes in store.
we do.
A couple locations. Some fun locations coming up.
That's some great topics we're going to discuss. So.
Absolutely. Well, until next time, have a good month, everybody.
Have a great month.